So, what does it really take to build a great school leadership team? It's not just about hiring a bunch of smart people. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework for turning your team from just a group of individuals into a dynamic force for your school.
All right, let's kick things off with a pretty challenging question for every school leader out there. What if the biggest thing holding your school back isn't the curriculum or the students, but the dynamics happening inside your own leadership team?
So, drawing from the incredible work of Patrick Lencioni, the source material we're looking at argues that pretty much everything hinges on one single quality: trust. Without it, even the most talented team is basically built on shaky ground.
Okay, so before we can build a stronger team, we've got to get honest, right? We first have to diagnose the common dysfunctions that hold so many teams back.
You'll see Lencioni's model is a pyramid, and that's for a really good reason. It shows how each problem literally stacks on top of the one before it. It all starts at the bottom, at the base, with the most fundamental issue and just works its way up.
At the very bottom, we've got the absence of trust. And hey, this isn't just about whether you like each other. The source calls this vulnerability-based trust. This is when team members just can't be open with one another, they can't admit they made a mistake, or even ask for help. And if your leaders are wearing armor in every meeting, real teamwork is pretty much impossible. And that lack of trust, it leads directly to a fear of conflict. When people don't trust each other, they don't get into those passionate, unfiltered debates about ideas. Instead, you get what's called artificial harmony, where everyone just nods along in meetings, but real progress grinds to a halt.
And, well, if people haven't had a chance to debate ideas openly, they won't truly commit to the decisions that are made. This lack of commitment means you get a lot of head nodding, but no genuine buy-in when it's actually time to get to work. This creates a culture where everyone avoids accountability. It's really tough to hold your peers accountable for something they never really agreed to in the first place. So those crucial, difficult conversations about performance and behavior, they just get skipped.
And all of this builds up to the very peak of the pyramid: inattention to results. When trust, healthy conflict, commitment, and accountability are all missing, team members just naturally start protecting their own turf, their department, their ego, their career, instead of focusing on the collective success of the school.
Wow. Okay, so that's a pretty sobering diagnosis, right? But here's the good news. For every single dysfunction, there is a cure. So let's break down how you can start fixing these problems.
Not surprisingly, the first cure goes right back to the foundation. Trust isn't something you can just hope for. You have to build it intentionally.
So how do you actually do that? Well, it's about creating shared experiences through team building, for sure. But it's also about fostering radical candor with open-door sessions. And this is huge. It means being totally transparent with key school data, so everyone feels like a trusted partner in the mission.
For the second dysfunction, the cure is really a mindset shift. You have to reframe conflict not as something to avoid, but as a necessary and productive tool for finding the absolute best answers for your students and staff.
Now, this isn't about encouraging arguments just for the sake of it. It's about making debate productive. That means you've got to explicitly encourage different viewpoints in meetings, and maybe even give your team the skills to disagree respectfully. The goal is to create channels where concerns can be raised safely, so issues get solved out in the open, not in the shadows.
To fight back against a lack of commitment, the solution is absolute clarity. Every single person on the leadership team needs to know exactly what the goals are and precisely what their role is in achieving them. Ambiguity is the enemy of commitment.
And that clarity comes from some really concrete tools. It starts with a detailed school improvement plan. That's your roadmap. Then you define exactly what each leader is responsible for. And finally, you keep that momentum going with regular, consistent check-ins to make sure everyone stays aligned.
The cure for avoiding accountability is to promote it, actively. And what's really crucial here is that this isn't just about the head teacher holding people accountable. It's about fostering a culture where peers hold each other to a high standard, because they are all committed to the same goal. So how do you build that kind of culture? A peer review system for projects can make accountability a shared responsibility, not just the principal's job. This works especially well when you also have clear metrics for success, like attendance rates or graduation targets. And then you make constructive feedback a normal, healthy part of how the team operates.
And finally, to cure that peak dysfunction, the ultimate goal is to get every single person laser-focused on the same finish line, the collective results of the school as a whole. This is all about creating a results-oriented feedback loop. You're constantly sharing data on student progress. You publicly celebrate the wins to reinforce what's working,
And, critically, you show that you're willing to change course when the data tells you something isn't working. It makes the collective result the most important voice in the room.
Now, tackling these 5 dysfunctions isn't a one-time fix. It's kind of like getting a team into shape. It requires ongoing effort and commitment to maintain that team health over the long term. To keep the team healthy for the long haul, the source recommends building a whole system of support. This isn't just one thing, but an entire ecosystem. Investing in your leader's skills through professional development, breaking down silos with collaborative projects, and grounding every major decision in hard data. It's all about creating a culture that is supportive, smart, and totally sustainable.
The end goal of all this work, of addressing the dysfunctions and committing to these long-term strategies, is actually really simple. It's to create one single, cohesive, high-performing team, united in its mission to drive student success. So, we'll leave you with this. As you think about your own leadership team, which one of these dysfunctions is your #1 priority? Because what this model shows is that tackling that single, foundational issue is the most powerful first step you can take.